Hey up, I dare say Starcraft here. You lot seem to like the drunk cast that I put up last time. I've had a fair bit to drink tonight, so here I am, gonna give it another go. And I'm matched up against a Protoss.
SCV ready.
I think I mentioned in my last cast that it's really the hardest matchup for me. And it's really because I seem to get full-gated every single time I play a Protoss.
SCV ready.
I don't know, maybe they're in some kind of Starcraft sweatshop where if they don't grind out the wins, somebody kills their family. That's pretty much the only excuse I can come up with for doing the same build game after game. It ought to fill you with a lot of shame, if we're being honest. Now, if you're a serial four-gator, it's not too late to chain. There's help out there. There are other ways to win a game of Starcraft. I promise you that. Actually, I do recommend, I like to do really weird builds. And it seems like it works for me all the time. I think it's because people got the counters to the standard build orders down pat, especially in the Diamond League. But as soon as you do something off the beaten path, something a little bit weird, they don't really know what to do in response. And you throw them off their game, and you can take it with something that's completely ridiculous. That's a lot more fun to me. I like kicking someone's ass than making them wear a funny hat while the blood's running down their nose. Now that might sound a little bit heartless, but it'll teach you a good lesson that. You never forget to keep your hands up again. That's for sure. Does sound a bit like I'm speaking from experience there. I assure you, I would never. I regret to admit that I'm a little bit late on my orbital command, but here I am, trying to pass along the wisdom of the ages. Can't exactly be expected to have impeccable timing on everything, can I? Though I do aim to make up for that with my engineering bay tech. Of course, you can always rush to that bunker capacity upgrade, and that's pretty much indisputably useful. I don't think a game goes by where it doesn't cross my mind to rush to that tech.
Are under attack.
You can dazzle your opponent with your flashy good looks, because there is that aesthetic consideration when you're building a bunker. I'd like to show you my favourite place to first expand. See, it's right outside the high yield, and you can always find it by the patch of daisies, the serene beauty, the gentle breeze. And I'm going to lay down a bunker, because I will fiercely protect my homestead. I'd punch a baby duckling in the face if I thought it'd help keep it safe. I am quite good at supply locking myself when I'm drunk, which means I will be unable to produce additional reinforcements at this particular juncture. So we won't be winning on the merit of our military might, but perhaps we can rely on a diplomacy or defectors in the Protoss army. You never know. Alright, so I'm not actually going to upgrade the bunker capacity. I think we both agree that's bloody worthless. But I am going to upgrade the building armor. It's getting +2 on every single building, including bunkers. Mate, I'm into that. And that's drunk fingers. It would seem that my opponent is not overwhelmingly fond of scouting. I would like to get to the point where I have more buildings outside his base than I have inside my own base. If I can make some progress on that. And in the meantime, you will see that I have achieved my primary objective, which is indeed rushing to Planetary Fortress outside my opponent's base. I think this has potential to become a textbook strategy. I can't see where it could possibly go wrong. Try and get myself a little bit more gas, and I should probably actually get a real expansion. Go ahead and take care of that. Oh, and it looks like he spotted me. Now at this point I'd expect him to do one of two things. Either go air, Void Rays, a Phoenix or something, or get a warp prism and just fly around. And just because I'm drunk, and doing a completely ridiculous strategy. Doesn't mean that I don't want to know which it is. So there, going down the scan, and I bet you anything that Robo Bay is pregnant with a warp prism. Now that I know that, I'm going to do a couple things. First, I'm going to start a factory, which will eventually lead me to a starport, and I can get out a Viking.
Upgrade complete.
Try and patrol the map, shooting down warp prisms. But I also have another idea. I'm going to put down a sensor tower. What about there? And of course, he's not going to run his warp prism right past the sensor tower. So I'm hoping I'll get him to run it around the sensor tower into my turrets. Put one there. In there. And inside my base. Hopefully, they'll be careless, run around the sensor tower, and run right into one of my turrets. I'm going to spread out my marines some, so I can hopefully spot him as well. Start to think that red blip there is his warp prism. I'm going to throw down a few more turrets to make sure it can't get by. Now I get my starport. The warp prism probably already on its way to my base. I'm not sure the Viking is going to be a preventative measure. I'm getting that turret range upgrade, and I'll tell you why. Got a lot of turrets. Great to have more range on them. They get a little bit more reach. And, mate, I gotta say, when the units show up as just those red dots, they look pretty sinister. Quite a lot more threatening than if I just saw their little Protoss bodies. Throw down a tick lab there. Turn my command center into an orbital. Now that I think about it, I have woefully neglected about 50% of the map. He would be quite safe if he just went down the left side of the map. So I would not be surprised to see a warp prism showing up in my base, or a pack of void rays charging up on my SCV somewhere. And there it is. He's warping in a Dark Templar into my base. Pretty much Zealots would have done. Don't have a lot back there in terms of defense. I don't think he knows that I can see it, but I do have that turret range upgrade, and the detection is actually quite far, so this drop doesn't trouble me a whole lot. He waited way too long, and it was because he was waiting for that Dark Templar tech, which isn't going to do anything for him. Gonna follow me right down to that turret, and he's done for. And he's got two just sitting there. He does not realize that I can see him. That turret range is so far. Oh, mate. Those Dark Templars are pretty much done for. Ah, but Drunk Fingers strikes again. Now, there's a little gift, mate. That's some pretty bad kiting. I'll be the first to admit that. My Viking doing what it was born to do. So proud of him. If you're ever in a similar circumstance, you really want your Marines to be as far away as they can be when they start shooting and get those Dark Templars to aggress. And if you can spread them out a bit, so the Dark Templars have to walk quite a distance from Marine to get their kills, that would be the best way to do it. Don't run them right up to the Dark Templars like I did. That's a bad way to do it. It's a good way to get your Marines killed if that's what you're after. If you actually want to kill the Dark Templars and preserve your units, try doing the exact opposite of what you saw me do. Feeling a moment of clarity. Gotta be careful. If I sober up, I might start realizing what I'm doing and abort. I am now noticing that I have the whole of 4 production facilities. I ought to make at least a few more buildings. Not strictly a mining contest, Starcraft. There is indeed army engagement. You find it quite useful to have attacking units in those particular circumstances. That is to say, when you're having a battle.
SCV ready.
We are also getting to the point in the game where the planetary fortress is not as formidable as it once was. Especially because he's got that Robo Bay. And I guess he's just producing Zealots and Immortals. That's half good. A sizable amount of Immortals can take down a planetary pretty quickly. But he alternatively could have made one Colossus with thermal lens, which outranges the planetary fortress, and take it out with one unit. Now that I've got tanks though, be able to deal with that a bit. Feel like I'm ready to move in right next door, taking this high yield for myself. He's not using it. It'd be a shame to just leave it sitting there. And now with 3 orbitals, including the high yield, I ought to be able to pull ahead in economy quite steadily. So I'm thinking I could pull ahead quite a lot more if I disabled his expansion. That medevac showing up, I bet you're thinking what I'm thinking. Make sure my macro isn't slipping too much before I start that. It's a sure way to get your opponent all riled up is dropping a tank on his ledge. Pretty much guaranteed to get him moving out. One finger's at it again. Really only want one of those tanks. There we are. See, I really like to use the shift queuing. And it just helps me get a lot more done without having to babysit my units. And see, now my medevac is showing up on his ledge and about to ruin this poor fella's day. Now I like to put the turret right next to my tank. In that way they can't drop a unit right on top of my tank without losing whatever they're dropping with. And now he has to run his probes away, so that base is effectively disabled. He's going to have to make a new warp prism if he wants to deal with that. Warp prism not going to do him a lot of good when I've covered the map and turrets, so it's pretty much just to deal with that ledge. And here he is.